Okay, now just turn your hands back like that. Okay, that gives me a sense of how I want to do this talk and how well you guys follow directions. And you can see everybody leaning in. Everybody wants to see the crack, because if this comes off and there's little shavings or something that doesn't look right, our whole company's going to be out of business. And he comes down and he unscrews and he gets to the last screw. And I realize as he's pulling this off that what is about to be seen there in those 10 seconds were a result of 10 years of decisions that had been made about an aerospace company. So before I can show you what's in here, we got to go back. And I got to tell you the story from the beginning. So let's set that right there and let's come back. And I walked into NASA. And I walked through these hallowed halls, and I'm rubbing shoulders with these people that had gone to all the planets. I remember this feeling of, I would give anything to be a part of this. This is so cool. And the ad said something like this, and I'm not too far from it. It was, are you a maniacal burger flipper that's tired of working at McDonald's, is very good with your hands, and has always wanted to build spaceflight hardware? Come visit Starsis. And we'd get these people. And they'd walk in the door like this. They'd say, you wrote that for me. How did you know? They had this really glazed look in their eyes. And if we saw that glazed look, we said, you're with us, come on. And they had this feeling of, this is so easy to get a job here. But we really were looking deeper into their ability to work with their hands. We were looking for people that were in body shops and that sewed. People that were just used to fixing things, not some technician at Ball Aerospace. And a lot of them had tattoos. And that was just kind of hard for me, you know, all this tat stuff going on. But they could, my gosh, these guys could build spaceflight hardware. See, what I found out is that I'm good at marketing. He was great at marketing. And I can figure it out, and I was proud of the fact that I could talk to people, but he was great. He did it like a knife through butter. And it was hugely freeing to realize that I could stop doing something I was just good at. And the people around you, if you ask them, they'd probably give you feedback that says, you know, you're good at this. But, you know, you should be doing what you're great at, because every one of you has something in you that is like knife through butter. And when you do it, when people see that, they go, how do you do it? And you say, I don't know, it's just easy. We created a matrix, kind of like March Madness, you know, and you got your brackets. And you had the people down here that were going, the days they were flying, and you put $5 into the can, you marked off when they were going to throw up. I think Rebecca's going to throw up on Monday and Thursday. Yeah, I don't think Jason's going to throw up at all. Now, you need to know the Vomit Comet is named such because what it does is it's a plane that goes out over the Gulf. And for 40 times in a row, it does this. Between 20,000 and 30,000 feet, it's a 727 filled with foam, so you bounce off the walls. When you do this, you get 25 seconds of weightlessness. When you do this, you get, about 2 minutes of 2 Gs. And it doesn't stop. I mean, you don't get to say, excuse me, Mr. NASA, but I'm feeling real queasy. Could we go back to Houston? It's just, no, you're there. And you have little bags. They give you them. Everybody throws up. It's very bad style to throw up outside your bag, you know. Picture this little blob floating around. And he went to bed, and it was 11 o'clock. I went into the study. I didn't want to go to sleep. I mean, you don't, because you know when you wake up, it's going to be gone at some level. I just wanted this to last. I went to the study, and I thought, I wonder if anything's there, and I clicked. And all of a sudden, here was the first picture back from Mars. And I'm watching this maybe with 50,000 other people around the globe. It's like being Galileo, seeing the moon for the first time, or seeing the moons around Jupiter. You realize you've seen something nobody's ever seen before, and that's actually bedrock. And I looked closely, and I saw this little smudge. That was our logo. Somehow, we'd ended up, this is the best case of product placement that has ever been done. The next day, I said, do you guys know that we're on Mars, our name? And a guy named Kyle Hickey says, yeah, I know it. I said, how do you know that, Kyle? He says, I put it there. What do you mean? He says, yeah, about 3 years ago, I had to put the logo somewhere, and so I looked up on the NASA website to see where the first camera was going to look, and I oriented it so it would be in the very first picture back from Mars. No big deal. I knew this was going to happen 3 years ago. There's no way in God's green earth I could have directed that kind of result, and the company was another case of family. I was at an entrepreneur session where I was up in front with a whole bunch of folks, entrepreneurs that were successful. Somebody asked a great question. They said, what do you, frankly, what do you suck at? What are you bad at? And these successful entrepreneurs went, oh, call on me, call on me, call on me. And they'd say, oh, no, me first, me first. I can't stand finance. And no, I can't stand operations. And the reason they were so excited about this was the whole idea that they'd recognized, when I found this out, that's when things took off. So those technicians with tattoos and those body shop workers, they built 2,500 mechanisms, 250 spacecraft with 0 failures. And this is from these guys that walked in the door saying, choose me, choose me. You know, these are the guys that turned into rocket scientists. I've been surprised about what I've been proud of through this. And it wasn't necessarily went to Mars, you know, or boy, I closed that $2 million deal. It was that I created a company that has a DNA that won't stop. They're up to 4,000 mechanisms with 0 failure. And this is what they're doing now. They're building the replacement for the space shuttle. And they are now in Louisville, they've been funded to $200 million to build the Dream Chaser. And those guys that I hired are doing this now. And I just get to stand back and relax and watch them and say, you go. As business leaders, we get so wrapped up in what we're doing. You know, closing a deal, working on Saturdays, whatever it is, and it's really important stuff. But I'll tell you what you don't want when you ask your wife or you want your children, and they say, what is your dad? You don't want them to say, no, he's this guy that, you know, who closes these deals on the weekends. You want them to say, he's a great father, or a great husband, or the guy that taught me to fish, or a great storyteller. That's what you want to be remembered by. So the biggest lesson I learned in this was one that came after I got rid of my company. And it's this. You're not your companies. You're incredible people with talents, but you're not your companies. Particularly entrepreneurs, where we get so wrapped up in that. And this doesn't mean that you have to sell what you're doing and quit it, but you need to pay attention to what's important. When you do get to the end of your life and you look back, you're not going to regret a deal closed, a verdict won. You will regret time not spent with a husband, a child, a friend, or a parent. What I hope for all of you is when you get to that point, you look back and you say, that was time well spent.